glad to carry on. This will be fun.
Indeed. All right, everybody. It's Alec. We're back at it again with another episode. And today I am joined by
Coach Greg Hess.
Coach Greg Hess. Appreciate you being here. And I'm excited to have an enlightening conversation with you.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks, Alex.
You're so welcome. So, the first question I like to ask is, how do you spend your time on planet Earth?
Hopefully, just like what I'm doing right now, with a smile on my face everywhere I go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am spending a lot of my time dedicated to my mission, which is to change the world through being a business coach.
Yeah.
And I do my best to do that every day with each and every experience that I have. And I've got a pretty strong reason for that mission. Uh, I'll backtrack and give you some fill in here on that. And that was at gee whiz back in I guess 9 years ago. I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
9 years ago?
Yeah, and I was the chief advisor for cloud services at Halliburton at that time.
Oh,
And it's kind of like get yourself in order, get things in order. This is not a good situation. People kind of got the word, and I got a lot of messages from people. The previous in my life, I'd worked I was a called Coach Hess, since I was 21 years old. I was a high school basketball coach. Did
all
that for
right.
12 years, did 2 years of college coaching, and then spent 30 plus years in business, but still always called coach. And
Yeah.
all those messages came in, that a lot of people don't get to see until they're in the coffin. And in my situation, surprise, surprise, miracle happened. I beat it and came out the other side. And I looked at those messages and said, you know what? The big guy upstairs is giving me a serious message here. And I look at
Yeah.
all of these, say, this is what you're good at. Do it for the rest of your life. I've kind of given you a second chance in a way, whatever how you view that and what your faith is. But in general, I took that and made that my mission. And I opened up a coaching firm 7 years ago, and I've been rocking and rolling ever since, having a blast. A lot of
Yeah.
fun.
That's Yeah, I've met a lot of people actually on the podcast that have gone through really difficult things. I spoke with a lady just last week that beat cancer, other people that have suffered big losses,
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff. What do you think was, why do you, gosh, let me, could be an interesting question. Why do you think you got cancer?
Why do I think I got cancer? Wow. Certainly, there was a lot of investigation into that,
Yeah,
as far as lifestyle, what I did, and especially because in my case, it was discovered because I had AFib going. So my heart was out of sync. They did a CAT scan on my heart, or
yeah,
looking for a blood clot so they could, do the shock of Rooney on your heart and get it back in sync. And they ran into the mass in the pancreas.
yeah,
So, once they took the tumor out, the heart went back into sync. And so the concept is that it's very possible if you have a tumor which causes stress in your body, AFib could be a symptom. And
yeah.
therefore, that kind of moves science forward. Why I had a tumor in me, totally a mystery, unknown, no
Mm.
idea. But certainly, there was a lot of investigation into how I lived, what I did, I mean, all the different things that went on in my life to try to put some pieces together. But there's no conclusion to that.
Do you feel like any of it was like psychological? Like I know a lot of disease is built off high
Yeah.
level stress. Do you feel like that contributed to it?
I don't doubt that there's interaction, with your metaphysical, your mind, and your whole being, as to what you have, what you don't, and how you act and react to things. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, you certainly can't block out any possibilities of things that happen to us, but you got to be resilient. Take what you get and realize that each day is kind of special, right? And
Yeah.
go do something with it. That's the way I feel.
Yeah. With every positive is a negative, with every negative is a positive. What do you feel? It might have been hard to know in the moment, but looking back, like what were all of the you could have said, hey, there were 50 things that made my life crappy because of this, but there are probably a result 50 things that made your life even better longer term. So what, how did your life improve after that?
I think the big thing, Alec, on that's a great question, and it comes down to finding your true why.
Yeah.
We've all got Simon's stuff on why and this and that and why, but when I came out of that, and the experience, I guess while I was going through the experience and in the hospital,
Yeah.
they want you to walk, right? You get gut surgery, they want you moving, get stuff rolling again, right? And so with my tubes and everything, I'm walking up and down the hallways, and I'm looking in rooms, and people don't move. I mean, day in and day out, these people in these rooms weren't moving. I mean, it was just like crazy, and I'm going, this is not good. And of
Yeah.
course, it's an eerie place because they're rolling people out, and you know the routine. You hear the buzzers, you hear whatever. And so what I did, and I don't know why, I started walking into these rooms that people weren't moving and started talking to them because I wanted to figure out kind of what people were up to. I don't know, I mean, what is it like on your deathbed? I guess in a way is what I was dealing with. And in the end, the conclusion of that is I went into all these rooms
You
was
just walked into these rooms?
I just walked in and started talking to people.
Oh,
Hey,
I see.
why I did that, I don't know. Part
Yeah.
of what I've discovered afterwards, I think I know exactly why now, but at the time,
Yeah.
I just did it. And so was my being throughout my life prior to that. Why did I do it? I never really thought about it. I just did it. But I certainly made a difference. I guess bottom line on that story is that the most important thing to people on their deathbed is their family.
Yeah.
And it was loud and clear as I went and talked to each one of, I'm going to say 7 people. In the end, you'll love this. They rolled me out, because they don't let you walk out. I mean, at the end, I went this 9 days after my surgery, whatever. They rolled me out, and of course, it had been discovered that I was clean as far as the cancer already at that point. It was just major recovery time. But all those people that were in their beds came to their doors, were giving me a hand. They were out of their seat, and I realized, hey, and so I roll that forward and what you really learn from that experience, as I got into the coaching and started to think about why and what turns me on, what makes me excited,
Yeah.
and I go back to when I was 8 years old, and I remember clearly dribbling the ball down the middle of the floor, giving a head fake, squeaking shoes and everything, passing a ball off to my buddy, makes the layup, and we win the game. And the thrill of that moment and that idea of giving an assist that we all gained from as a group was what continued to drive me for the rest of my life and still today.
Yeah.
I get the warm heart, beautiful feeling when I can give an assist. And I look to give those as a lifestyle and have for all my life.
Easy to know, but hard to know with a capital H. It's hard to really know that until you just know it. And I think it just takes years to really recognize that. Like I know theoretically that all of my problems result from self-centeredness. Like
Right.
if I was a more giving person every single day, my life would be better. But there's just so many like subconscious patterns, that can keep me from being that type of person. And a lot of us, probably yourself included, had to go through a crisis in order to recognize that. So I want to know, like, for those that don't want to go through a crisis, but they want to embody the type of wisdom that you have, how does somebody do that?
Well, I lean a little on my book, Peak Experiences,
Hmm.
and that is that you have to discover well, it takes number one, it takes some deliberate practice to get to a position of having a peak experience. I think it just you got to pay a price a little bit.
What is a peak experience?
Peak experience is when time slows down, everything kind of comes together in a very you have mass amounts of information that comes at you in a short period, which, like I said, we've all had those experiences.
Yeah.
But then how do you manifest those? And
Hmm.
manifesting those are, again, a crisis is an example of that. Well, you've got to
Yeah.
think of where have I had those peak experiences in my life, And then what am I done about them? And what I've
Yeah.
tried to explain in my book is how to capture those kind of feelings and things in your life and then catapult out of them through a geometric progression, right?
Yeah.
Multiply out hard. And that's what I tried to grab and explain in the book. And I think, it's all right. I just got Amazon bestseller. So
Nice.
it's pretty nice. Yeah, it was nice. I just found out last Friday. I get to put the badge wherever I go for from now on. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you feel like life? So you're almost 70, you're 69, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was your mentality at 49 versus 69?
Amazingly different, but a great question. 49, I was, running president of companies, running companies, had all kinds of roles in driving teams. Um, but that assist thing and growing
Hmm.
my teams and growing the people was really the most important thing. And the other
Yeah,
part of that was still the learning curve. I always chased that learning curve with the jobs I had, and people paid me more money along the way, and it worked out well, but I wasn't chasing the dollar. So when I was 49, I was doing a lot. I don't know. I wasn't that different in terms of how I coached my sales teams, each of my teams. I mean, I was always engaging them and making them feel like they were part of the team. I just wasn't as good at it as I am now. I mean, if I was in that same role now and know what I know and the couple hundred books I've read in the last, couple years, all of that is a whole different level of knowledge than what I had at that time.
yeah,
The other thing is I would have probably thought differently about money than I do today. Money was much more of a driver, get myself set up, make sure I have retirement, make sure I'm going to be safe for later in life. And I think a lot of times you miss the moment and the journey
yeah,
that you're on because you're caught up in that rat trap a little bit, right? And now, feel a whole different story in how I view that, much different.
How do you view it now?
Well, how much money do you need? And if you think of that and how long you're going to live and you kind of do the math, so yeah, you can add in, okay, let's add in a couple trips here. Let's do this. Let's add in. You put in whatever lifestyle you want into that and you still have a little money around.
Yeah,
I mean, you want to live the life you want to live. And it isn't, having Ferraris and being, having the most of this or that. It's enjoying your life and what you really like. And I think as
yeah,
you get older, you get better at understanding that of what really brings you happiness. Getting out on the golf course with my wife is the most enjoyable times, that I have right now.
yeah,
It's very good to be spending time doing that.
yeah. It's like, what do we want that we truly desire versus what is considered egotistical?
Yeah, exactly. I think you get a little more comfortable with that as you gain experience. I don't know. I've been around enough of guys that got the big money and done that kind of thing and so on. I mean, I got to work with Magic Johnson for his camps and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I was doing my MBA and, I mean, look what he's done, and money's not the issue for him at all. He's making a difference, in the communities he works in and stuff he's doing, I think, in a big way. And he's done some phenomenal things and it ain't about money.
yeah. So you've been around a lot of successful people. What problems do they deal with on a daily basis?
Some of the most successful, I'm thinking the wealthiest people that I work with in terms of coaching, I'll say have created the most wealth.
Hmm.
It's the management of time. Um, yeah, you're great to have a lot of wealth, but when you're working 80-hour weeks, come on, man. You're working 80-hour weeks and you got 3 kids at home that are under the age of 8.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I mean,
There's always a price. Is there always a price?
well, is there a balance? I guess, on the reverse of that, can you find a balance within these things? And I believe you
Yeah.
can. You gotta, as a business coach and working with people, I gotta punch people in the nose about that kind of stuff now and then because before they know it, so what? You got multi millions in the bank, but how you living your life right now, and how do you want to live your life? Let's get into that.
Yeah.
That's what I find is one of the problems. It's just people tend to overwork and think they need to do that because that's the habit they've got into. And then if they try to stop it, it's like, oh, they go in a spiral. So the transition oftentimes when I'm working with people that sell their business and move on is they better have a pretty good plan for the next level. It's
Yeah.
not going to, if you're a business owner for all your life and at 70, 65 years old, you decide to sell that business and live out the rest of your life. Well, the odds aren't real good that unless you get busy doing something else that you're gonna have the kind of life you want to have or the length of it anyway.
Yeah. Do you feel like anybody truly has it all together?
Yeah, if they do, I'd sure like to meet them. Uh, I think that's a great kind of question because who you can have all the confidence in the world, and I think that's critical. But when it gets arrogant and out of control in terms of that. There's always a tough balance. For me as an athlete, when playing basketball for years, Olympic level and other levels I played at, it was an element of confidence you brought to the game, but it couldn't be cockiness. You couldn't think you were better than you were, but you had to know how good you were and then
Yeah.
live to that and have that mindset in order to visualize what you were going to do and make it happen. No different for us on our daily basis and what we do in business, and so on.
You're either humble or you're about to be.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Who are the types of people that you really enjoy working with right now?
Well, those that have a vision of social impact with their business and creating win-win scenarios.
Mm.
Variety of examples of that, different insurance agency I'm working with that has put together there's a group, probably a lot of people familiar with BNI, Business Network International,
Yeah.
but there's a place here where we have a pretty close called Brookwood, which is for disability people with disabilities that are building material and running a bit of entrepreneurial play. So what they've done is gone in and set it up so that the meeting for BNI will happen within their facility. And in the process of doing that, you get a chance to interact with the community and interact with those folks with disability, which is a win-win for I think everybody.
Yeah.
Because I like that kind of thing. I mean, other people pick Special Olympics or something like that they're going to get behind and figure out how to make that because of their audience, and their customers will
Yeah.
find it a good thing for them to be doing and support them more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all part of branding and general business. But I like those kind of people that are because it's in every business. I really believe there's social impact in every business. I mean, most everyone, not some are a little out there ridiculous, but the ones that are somewhat involved with people, where they're hiring people and have them involved and growing people and so on, they just have to recognize and have the mindset that this is what we're doing is we have social impact. We're making a difference on our community by being a business here. And if they have that, then I like to work with them to grow that
Yeah.
directions.
Where does that come from, wanting to grow their social impact? Because that seems kind of like a niche thing. Or yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm a Rotary member and sit on the board of directors for Rotary, and certainly it's service before self within
Yeah.
Rotary, and that's the
Right.
philosophy. And so I carry that into my business as well, and I think it serves you right from for being business. I don't know.
It's
And
just what you like doing. It's what you're more passionate about, it relates to
back
your
to my
as
why.
a coach and all that. So
Yeah, I give out a grant. I'm able to grant a fair amount of money through Rotary because what we do is we put on 3 events every year. We make I don't know 400,000 or so, and then we take that money and we do as members we write grants for our preferred charities in the
nice.
community, and then we give out the checks at the meeting. It's just great, I mean, really, you talk about make yourself feel good. Seeing somebody really needs a check, they get a check for $5,000 and their life has changed. That is worth doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I love it.
yeah, it's good stuff.
So based on all your experience, the success that you've had, figuring out your why, what do you think is a question that you wish people would ask you more, but they don't?
Ooh. Hmm. I guess I like people to come ask me about a roadmap concept of where they'd like to go.
Hmm.
Whatever that might be, whatever their vision might be. I love people sharing that with me. And,
Hmm.
just because I learn from it, but at the same time, I can do my why and give an assist to make it happen.
Yeah. It's like in order to help somebody, they need to be clear about where they want to go, essentially.
Four pillars I work on,
Yeah.
kind of on the basic destination, where are we going, what are you going, what's your mission, what's your vision, what's your business plan, what's your operation plan, what's your completion plan.
Yeah.
Second one's mastery of time. What am I doing with my time? How do I master that properly? And I have a nice process for that. I think people can function tactically for 90 days. And, that's why we do quarterly planning. And then mastery of money, I make sure everybody knows their money and their business well. I mean, all four types of cash: revenue, profit, cash flow, and equity, and what that
Yeah.
what that means and looks like to the running the business. And the fourth one is equity. What's the value of your company? You know, and then mastery of delivery. I make sure I hit on that. And if we get those right, businesses can really start to grow. You can get the whole thing going, but you got to have that foundation. And those that are missing those gaps, I like to fill those for them.
Let's let's talk about your book a little bit. What do you feel like is like if you could, I know there's so many nuggets of information, but if you want to give like one strong takeaway from the book, maybe the one that you're most proud of, what would that be?
Well, each chapter is about peak experiences within, a series of elements. I think the best one that I people seem to grab onto, and I really enjoyed writing. I enjoyed writing it all. Was when I did a little sharpening the saw activity. I took our boy Covey seriously and said, I'm going to sharpen my saw as I made a transition from being a high school basketball coach and then having the opportunity to become the assistant coach at Cal Lutheran University. And when I had that, I got to choose whatever I wanted to kind of pursue as my next level of education. I was thinking, yeah, I can go on in education, but maybe there's something else. I need to think this over. So I rode my bike I rode a total panniers on self sustained from Jasper, Alberta to Thousand Oaks, which was about 2,300 miles, 23 days on the road. And I did take the Amtrak from Boise, Idaho to Portland, Oregon. The rest of it, I pedaled at 100%. And
Wow.
along the way, when you think about kind of the book and the peak experiences that happened, one of the funniest things, I guess, and was kind of cool, when I would hit the Oregon coast, in amongst the redwoods there, I had a camping out, and just put my tent up in a camp area. They have kind of like these biking hikes all along the coast that you can take advantage of all the way down. So I was, of course, doing that. And so another guy came in, big, tall German guy. So I'm 6'5". This guy was, 6'6", like he was taller than I was.
Hmm.
Really well built guy, had ski poles sticking out the back of his backpack. And I'm kind of looking at him, whatever. And we're hanging out in campsite that night. And I asked him, what up with the ski poles, and his name's Axel. And so I go, hey, Axel, what's up with the ski pole? I was up in Alaska and I was fooling around doing some hiking there. And instead of shipping them back, they're kind of light. I just thought I'd bring them along. You never know when you need ski poles. I'm like, oh, all right. I'm thinking every ounce, right? Every ounce on my bike was mattering to me in terms of setting the pace I was at. So
Yeah.
anyway, next morning I get up, boom, I'm on the road doing my regular thing, getting your stuff dried out because you know how wet it is on the coast. I get down 2 days later, I'm sitting in maybe Modesto or somewhere where I'm looking out over a breakfast nook. And what do I see go down the road? Now I'm sitting in here for a while and there's a bunch of peacock riders, so to say, and now I'm one, so I have to be careful. But people
Hmm.
ride short distances on their road bikes. And I'm sitting there with all these folks and, kind of talking. And of course, I'm a little bit of an anomaly because I'd come from Jasper to here we are in the middle of California at this point almost. I
Yeah.
look up and there goes the ski poles by me, right? So I'm sitting at my table without any jump out of my seat. I run out the door and I'm yelling, hey Axel, hey Axel. Well, he stops, right? Comes back And everybody, I look back at the cafe, and everybody's face is up against the window because they thought I was yelling, "Hey, asshole." So there you go.
Good story.
It's true. Anyway, I wrote about that in the book, and that's part of that
Yeah,
chapter. Would people really like those kind of stories and kind of the way it
yeah,
all set up because it was part of pretty cool riding the PCH. I mean, California is.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a good ride and Big Sur and all that. It's just, and I had ridden before that from Thousand Oaks to San Francisco and back two times before, and then one time just from San Francisco down. So
Oh
I kind of
wow.
knew that part of the road. Yeah, got a bike with about 55,000 miles on it. Pedal bike.
Seriously?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I mean, just having a car with 50,000 miles, like that's like
I
years
know.
ago.
And you think I got it in
God.
'88, so I've had it since then. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay. It's a long time to have a bike. It must be a great bike.
It's just a Cannondale Super Cruiser, big solid frame. I don't use it for my road bike riding now or anything. I mean, I just use it when I go get groceries and that kind of stuff to get
Yeah.
loaded up. It's a Mack truck for the bike.
Piece of
Carry stuff.
history. It's a relic.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah. It should have an antique sticker on it.
All right, Coach Greg, well, I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
Let's say it's the end of your life. You've done everything that you've wanted to do, you know, shared all the knowledge, helped as many people, given all the assists. However, there's nothing like materially there as far as books, videos, whatever to show for it. It like all disappeared. However, you have a microphone that you can, broadcast microphone. You can talk to the entire world and you can share three things that you know to be true about the world around you. What are those things for everyone to
Hmm.
hear?
Three key principles. I guess you're saying three key things that,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, in the frame of, I'll just say, the never give up, the resilience side. I think that's an important thing for all people to realize because there's always valleys and there's always peaks. And,
Yeah.
you know, the other second one I'd say is maybe just enjoy the journey. Don't forget about every day and the presence you're in each day that you
Yeah.
get to have the joy that you do. I mean, you remember Jimmy V's speech, right? And the whole cry every day, laugh every day, that whole thing that he said. I'm about that presence. I think we have to be there. And I suppose always having vision, seeing what's next, visualizing, dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
You have to dream in order, and whatever you dream, I really do believe, as Walt Disney said, it can become true. So dream big. I have
Yeah.
I have so much fun with the people and clients I'm working with when I get into the BHAG thinking like, what's the big, hairy, audacious goal way out there? Start
Yeah.
dreaming. And so I think dreaming is really an important element of combining that with your vision and making things happen for yourself.
I love it. Well, appreciate you sharing.
Yeah. Well, thank you, man. It's great. I love your questions.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Where,
good.
where can the people find you?
Um, CoachHess.com. That's where my website is. And
Easy. Coach
coach
Hess.
at Coach Hess is my email. Pretty straightforward. You can find me all over LinkedIn under Coach Hess,
Yeah.
all over Facebook. I guess it's out there. Maybe under Greg Hess.
Mm.
I didn't, whatever. I got a Coach Hess one too. And my YouTube channel is the Desk of Coach Hess. There's
Cool.
250 or so videos out there that I've made over the years
Wow.
that might be a little bit inspiring to people.
Yeah.
On Amazon, of course, you look up Coach Hess and you'll find peak experiences and also breaking the code to success. And then another book will be out in September. So that's all part of my world, I guess, right now.
I love it.
Yeah. A little bit of legacy, one of the reasons to write a book and get yourself set up and so on, I think is
Yeah. No,
my
I think it's
my grandkids are going to be all like, oh, Grandpa Greg, what did he
for
do?
a book. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Coach Greg Hess, thanks again for being on the show. Really enjoyed this one.
All right, buddy.